It's Jürgen. Listen, we've come too far to stop now. We've dominated all season, lifted the supporters' shield, won the Open Cup. This is our moment to make it count. Columbus, they're good, sure, but we are better. We are relentless. We are hungry. Keep the intensity, stay compact, and when we get our chances, we bury them. Every pass, every run, every tackle, make it count. Play for each other, play for the fans, and most of all, play like champions. Let's get it done.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 72 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with the New York Red Bulls. I hope you're doing well and come up day to end this week on the channel. It's win or go home time in the 2029 MLS playoffs. We're in the Eastern Conference semi-finals and we take on so far in the saver our bogey team, especially in big knockout games, the Columbus Crew. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it. It does come off the back of yesterday's episode where we had the best of 3 tie in the first round against the New England Revolution. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. To be fair, didn't play too well in either of those games, but thankfully did manage to pick up a 2-1 win off camera in our first home leg before a 2-0 win away from home did mean that we went through in a clean sweep. And while that did go on, the Columbus Crew went to a game free and just got the job done there over the Chicago Fire. So that's how we made our way through to today's episode, the semi-finals here of the Eastern Conference. On the other side, Orlando City, they've beaten New York City, so no chance of a Hudson River derby in the finals of the Eastern Conference. But hopefully we can pick up a win here over a Columbus team who've been pretty tricky when we're taking them on for the most part so far in this save, especially last season in knockout games. They did beat us in a penalty shootout in the group stage of the League's Cup. To be fair, that wasn't actually a knockout game, but it did mean they finished above us, and then they beat us in the first round of the playoffs. So we do owe these guys a bit of revenge. Fingers crossed we can do that here and make our way through to the Eastern Conference final. John Herdman is their manager. That 5-3-2 can prove a little bit tricky to come against them. To be fair, their captain, vice captain and key player are all the same since the last time that we did take them on, which was earlier this season in the MLS, where thankfully we did get a little bit of revenge on them. We'll just go up and find where this game was. We bet them 6-1, so it actually was an absolute thrashing the last time we took those guys on, and that was also at Red Bull Arena. So fingers crossed we can do that here in this game in today's episode. But to be fair, before then, if we have a look at the past meetings, which we should be able to do somewhere in the data hub, and back there it is there, next to next opponent. Before then, the form wasn't actually that good. You can see there, they beat us in that best of 3 series in the first round of the playoffs last season, that penalty win in the League's Cup, and also could only manage a draw against them the first time we took them on in the MLS. They're only a team we've been in twice so far in 6 attempts since we've been here at the Red Bulls, but fingers crossed off the back of that very impressive season that we did have our 94 points to lift the supporters' shield, we can pick up a win and set up a top of the table clash there in the Eastern Conference finals, albeit we did do a fitness friendly just to make sure our players did stay fresh off the back of that 3-week gap while game 3 and also an international break did happen off the back of our second league win in that first round. We did pick up a 4-2 win there over in the 11. Matthias Zanotti did pick up a little knock during the course of that game though. He has recovered thankfully, but isn't quite on a full green heart, as you'll see when we do go over to our tactics. So it does mean he won't start this game for us, which is a little bit of a blow. But to be fair, Genesis Armley's done a pretty good job for us so far this season. A 7.02 average rating in his last 5 games. He should be okay to do a job for us at right back. And unfortunately, another injury. This one, though, happened in training off the back of that second league win that we picked up in yesterday's episode, and it's to one of our better players, one of our DPs, in Renier, unfortunately out for another 3 to 7 days, and that is with some sprained ankle ligaments. So unfortunately, no Renier for this game, so it does mean a bit of a shuffle up with our wings. MB will keep there at left wing, but the form that Birchams has been in so far this season, we're going to play him at right wing instead of someone like Zhao Hongyu or Hao Sawi, who's probably departing at the end of the season because he wants a ridiculous contract and isn't actually that good. So we're going to try here Birchmas at right wing. To be fair, an argument could be made to play him out left because, as you can see, he's got a green link with Zenta off the back of all the time that they've spent playing together this season, while MV has been out with injury. But I think right wing might be best, especially as MV has just been finding some form. So a couple of issues we are dealing with off the back of that big break since we picked up that win yesterday over the New England Revolution, but fingers crossed here we can make our way past the Columbus Crew and into an Eastern Conference final. And here are the team sheets here for this do-or-die clash in the semi-finals of the Eastern Conference. There we are, as we ran through before. Bertram at right wing and Antwi at right back, so a bit of a change there down our right-hand side, but fingers crossed we can find a way to break up this 5 at the back formation that Columbus and John Herdman do love so much, the part New Zealander who they were after, but he turned them down, of course, to stay as the Canadian international manager, which you can't blame them for. Hopefully, though, we can get some revenge on them for that here. A corner early, unfortunately, we go far post, but can't quite put that on target. I think that was through Wisden. So early stages on the front foot here, as you'd expect with this being a home game. As long as we keep winning, we're going to stay at home for the remainder of the playoffs, considering that we did also pick up the Supporters' Shields. That should mean if we make the overall MLS Cup final, we will get hosting rights. But so far, well and truly the team on the front foot, but just that one highlight where we couldn't quite hit the target from a set piece. But apart from that, no highlights, but well and truly on the front foot. But now we're getting quite deep into the first half of this game. No one out there on a great rating, but no one out there either on too poor one. Actually quite similar to the New England game that we played yesterday, but now a highlight, and Columbus are on the ball. Ballbas there will play it out there to the left winger. I think that's Jural Skin, but Pirani will get that one back for us now. Koulibaly will try and find their Tikvich, who for some reason just completely ignores the pass, and Kuipers will put that one in the back of the net. So I don't think that's actually the fault of Koulibaly like the game I think there was suggesting. Tikvich really should have stopped that one. It goes through to Kuipers and pretty much an open net from where Koulibaly did play that pass to him, and we go 1-0 down thanks to an absolute howler there from our centre-back, but the game is going to blame that on our goalkeeper. Emmy off the back of that tries to score again from a corner, but unfortunately that one goes just over the bar. And now some of our players are starting to drop to some pretty poor ratings as we go into half-time here in this Eastern Conference semi-final. Well and truly the best team in this game, but that howler at the back does mean that we're 1-0 down. So Hausawi can come on for MB. Unfortunately, not going so well today. Bertram at left wing. That might be good considering that nice link-up that he does have with Zenta, but not a good first half for us there in terms of the scoreline. In terms of the way we're actually playing, though, it's not too bad, and fingers crossed here we can get some pay for that in the first highlight of the second half. But it is Columbus here who are on the ball. Fingers crossed they won't do us again in a playoff game. It's been so dominant this season, it would be a pretty big shame if we got knocked out in the semi-finals of the Eastern Conference. To be fair, be pretty disappointing if we didn't go on and win the entire thing in the MLS Cup. But thankfully when that ball there down our left-hand side, running down some space there, and our midfield takes on the long-range shot, which probably wasn't a great option. Unfortunately, it just goes over the bar, doesn't test clean, and now the stats well and truly in our favour. Columbus only one shot on target. To be fair, I think the 0.26 XG should be a bit higher considering the chance that that was, but it is 1-0 to Columbus. Fingers crossed here we can continue to do quite well and get an equaliser. It's looking a bit unlikely though, because Kuipers, that little dink over the top there, that must have been from Ballbas. He heads that one home off the back here of a little bit of a short free kick. It goes out there to Reyes, who turns, he finds Ballbas, who just gets sagged off there a little bit. To be fair, we might have been looking to block that shot. Somehow there's no one there to mark him. He hits that one top right corner, and we might be in trouble. We're 2-0 down. So Colin Moore here can come on for Tikvich on a 6.4. I actually think he's now been at fault for both the goals that we've conceded. That first goal did get credited, I think, to Koulibaly as he now drops to a 6.0, but Tikvich not having a good game, and about to make our way to the last 20 minutes of this one. Julio Cesar has picked up a yellow card, not going too badly, but will play things safe. Ryan Lamb can come on for him. Molina up front not doing too well. Brian Green can come on for him. And also, we might try Edelman in box-to-box midfield. Pirani, an advanced playmaker, and Leroy Sané at left wing. So a couple of subs here. Those are our last couple for this game as we're about to make our way to the last 20 minutes. We desperately need a goal from this highlight. Zenta plays that one in there for Pirani. Interesting back pass, Vancouver low. Do keep hold of the ball. It goes back there to Ryan Lamb. Some fresh legs, some good short passing. Hausawi inside the box, but unfortunately Bit of a loose touch from him. A back pass there to the goalkeeper. He tries to clear it, but thankfully, aren't we, can tidy things up. He's so far having a little bit of an average game as Enter now on the attack. What will he do? He pulls the trigger, but drags that one well wide. So unfortunately, we're not doing a lot here with all our dominance. We actually berate the guys here and see if that helps out as we're about to make our way to the last 10 minutes of this game. In fact, now I think it's time for us to go attacking with our mentality. We desperately need a goal so far, getting absolutely FM'd at one of the worst times of the season. Unfortunately, aren't we there on the attack? Loses out on the ball, but now Hasawi will get that back, puts it in there for Green. A good chance for him. The goalkeeper comes up with a very good save, then a long range effort which gets blocked, and unfortunately can't link up there down our left hand side. Good foul there from Emmy, but it does mean that highlight comes to an end. Look at those stats. How on earth are we losing this game 2-0? But now we are starting to get a few more highlights, so fingers crossed here we can manipulate comeback. I think we've only lost so far this season against American teams just the 2 times, and maybe it will stay that way as Wisdom Army finally gets a header on target there from that ball from Gabriel Pirani. We make it 2-1, so fingers crossed now finally the floodgates have opened, as indeed he did stay onside. The goal does get awarded thanks to VAR, but a short corner Sane goes back to Pirani, just gets that ball off in time before the Columbus defender does get to him, and thankfully Army this time gets that one on target at the near post and does beat Kalina. We will wait here for the lines, but to be fair, it looked pretty clear cut, and indeed that was the case. So thankfully we're back in this game, but fingers crossed we haven't left this too late, and there is a highlight. And to be fair, as we're about to make our way into injury time, don't think we care if the highlight starts with Columbus on the ball, albeit more there probably didn't need to head that one away, as I think Columbus there had a player in an offside position, but Sabe will score from a really tight angle, and now I think we're in deep, deep trouble. We'll have to see here how long we have an injury time, but going attacking hasn't actually paid off because it's back to a 2-goal deficit. So all of a sudden, we're looking at elimination in the semi-finals of the MLS Eastern Conference, which is way sooner than we should be going out with how good we will skip that highlight. He's clearly onside. We make our way into only 4 minutes of added time. And oh dear, that is a big old bottle job from us. Koulibaly, a shocking rating. As I said though, I think that first goal probably goes more on Tickbitch, but apparently should have saved the next 2 efforts. He goes down to a 5.9. Those stats are absolutely disgusting. They had 3 shots on target. They all beat Koulibaly and found their way into the back of the net. We just scored the 1 goal with all our dominance, and we don't make the Eastern Conference final. Both New York teams, they get knocked out in the semis, and it's our season over. And now the KloppBot's calling me. Oh dear, this could be quite bad. Let me just check here what he wants. Hey Jurgen, yeah, I'm sure you just saw what happened there, mate. Look, I don't know what to say. Maybe New York's just cursed. Maybe it's time for me to walk away. Like, we dominated the regular season, but again, no MLS Cup. Like, yeah, maybe the New York Red Bulls are just cursed, mate.
Cursed? No, my friend. You know what you are? So close. You built a machine. You were the best team all season. And now, you have unfinished business.
Yeah, but it's a long wait until those big competitions next year, Jurgen. Like, there's no guarantees we'll even make it this far.
Listen, there are never guarantees in football. But that's what makes it beautiful. That's why you go again. Leagues Cup. CONCACAF Champions League. MLS Cup. You have 1 season left on your contract. So finish it. Make it count. 1 last ride.
Alright, Jurgen. 1 more season, 1 last shot. But that's it, okay?
Yeah.
That's it.
On to next year.
Alright.
Later, bro.
See you, Jurgen. 1 more season then. And going forward a couple of weeks off the back of that quite sickening into our MLS season here with the New York Red Bulls, we have the end of season review. To be fair, picked up 2 more trophies than our first season at the club, but to be fair, we were here for a whole season this time, and we really should have picked up a couple more of those 2. The US Open Cup as well as the Supporters Shield by 24 points with a season tally record there in the competition. Not too sure, to be fair, if it was quite as high as what Inter Miami put up in real life, considering that hasn't happened so far in FM24 because that was so long ago, but still a dominant regular season, as we'll see shortly. But first up, the transfers we made, and to be fair, not that many that we did actually do going into this season, but the best of them apparently was Facundo Molina for 4.8 million, played 40 games, won off the bench 27 goals and 6 assists. His average rating, not the highest, but he picks up the player of the season. Leroy Sané actually was the best performer also, did start of course in that All-Stars game, but for some reason he doesn't pick up the signing of the season, maybe because of that big old wage that he's on. Wisdom Ami has done a really good job as a centre back there for that 3.4 million fee we paid for him. Julio Cesar was our biggest transfer. Honestly, not that impressive, those stats there for the fee he paid, but of course a defensive midfielder, sometimes that's what happens. Bemba Coulibaly we bought in halfway through the season, did really good up until that last game, and to be fair, as I said, I think that rating actually was a bit harsh. It was probably more on Tikvich, who actually we also bought him. For some reason, the trades that we did, they don't pop up here on this transfers in screen. And also Ryan Lamb we picked up on a free as the backup to Julio Cesar, did a solid job. But yeah, that's a really sour way for us to end our season. I'm still fuming over that. There are the players that we sold, the big sale, Fabio Figueroa halfway through to Aston Villa. Maybe we should have tried to keep hold of him, but to be fair, that was over his release clause. Not too much we could do about that one. Also got rid at the start of the season of the likes of Karaskia, Carmona, Kuku, Randall Leal, and Marco Farfan. Also departed, that was on a free transfer, and of course Tristan Moore we let go. I think that might have been even during the course of last season, because he came in as emergency left back cover while we did have an injury, and we had one loan down apparently. Oh yes, that's right, it's Callum Stiles. Fingers crossed he's not here for our last season at the club, because seriously, he's wasting a good 8k a week of our wage budget. But going forward to the results, the league phase of the MLS was actually very, very good for us. That 24-point gap over Orlando City, which did mean that we did pick up the Supporters' Shield, which the board were very happy with, but unfortunately, then we bottled it to the Blooming Columbus Crew. In that game, you'd just see a little bit of a rough patch there off the back of securing that Supporters' Shield, but we did oh so well until the playoffs, which thankfully don't pop up on here. So thankfully, don't have to look there at that scoreline, that ridiculous 3-1 scoreline with their 3 shots on target in the Champions League. Our biggest disappointment, I'd say, this season, it did start quite early, and to be fair, you didn't actually think we qualified this competition, but we did lose to Tigres there over 2 legs. Fingers crossed we do a better job next season. We definitely, in the Champions League, having picked up that Supporters' Shield, and maybe don't get a team in the first round who are good enough to make their way through the semi-finals, because that was quite a tough draw. The Leagues Cup, again, a little bit disappointing getting knocked out there in the Eastern quarterfinal. That one by the New England Revolution, who of course we got some revenge on in yesterday's episode. Not that it mattered too much off the back of that result that we did just have, but the other competition that we did win was the US Open Cup, and to be fair, we did this very comfortably, capped off with that 5-0 win over Charlotte in the finals. So thankfully, we did pick up a double. Fingers crossed we can pick up some other trophies in our final season at the club. The ones I want the most, the CONCACAF Champions League and the MLS Cup, or at the very least, the Eastern Conference Trophy, which we somehow missed out on this season. Our biggest win, that 8-1 win over the Chicago Fire, which did steal the Supporters' Shield. The match to remember was the first derby we played this season, a 3-1 win over New York City, and the goal of the season came in a 3-1 win over Cincinnati and was scored by Leroy Sané. And here is that goal. It's a free kick here, and he rifles that one into the top right corner. So to be fair, it's a pretty standard free kick goal, that one, to Leroy Sané, but I suppose deservedly that does pick up our goal of the season. A bit of good work there from one of our big signings going in to our first full season here at the club. Now, for some reason, lots of this stuff has gone down. Not too sure how we got less competition prize money than last season, so I think this screen might be quite bugged out. So we'll move forward and go forward to our best 11 from this season. Figueroa in goal, and we're at right back over Zanoy. So to be fair, maybe didn't miss him too much there in that game we just played, but a 6.99, not that great a rating. Also the same with Julio Cesar, who still gets that start there in defensive midfield, but the rest of the back there does make sense, with Zentra at left back and Tikvich and Ami in the middle there. Tikvich did really well. That rating would be a lot better if he actually showed up for that game we just played. Pirani and Sané in the midfield, and going forward it's Renier out right, Bertram out left. As I've said a few times now, he actually did a really good job for us this season while MV was struggling with injury. Maybe MV is someone we need to look to shift on going into next season. And Facundo Molina, who picked up the signing of the season, goes up front with those 27 goals in 40 appearances. In behind that though, Our other strikers were a little bit average until we called up Brian Green late on in the season. The fans player of the season does go to Leroy Sané, young player of the season, as well as signing of the season. That was Facundo Molina. The top goal scorer was Molina, most assists Renier with 20. Sané got the most man of the matches with 6, and the highest average rating, that was Renier with a 7.4. A couple of club records there broken over on the right hand side. Renier for the most assists, Edelman now 249 appearances in the league for a player, so hopefully he breaks that once we make our way into next season. And Julio Cesar, that was the biggest transfer fee. I don't think, though, we'll break that going to next season. We'll tell you guys about that shortly when we do wrap up things for today's episode. Unfortunately, no competition awards yet. We should pick up a lot, though, considering that we had something like 4 of the 5 nominees for the MLS Player of the Season. The other one, of course, from the Columbus crew, which really does just rub things right in our face going forward. History in the making, flew out the traps, and no one caught us, but just the 2 trophies. And here's our manager timeline. You can see that we spent some money, and we did that quite a bit, breaking transfer records. Also, we picked up Tristan Moore, actually, that was during the course of this season, before we did let him go. A couple of good results there, of course. Also did pick up a club record run of matches won in a row there during the course of the Leagues Cup. Edelman did break the overall record for most appearances, as you saw before. We got to 300 matches with a win in our second Hudson River Derby in the MLS season with a win there over New York City. Picked up the Supporters' Shield and broke a record in terms of points scored, but didn't pick up the big one, which we're definitely going to try and make amends for in the final season of this save. And that will do it for the end of season review. To be fair, there is the best 11, but of course, this is only our first full season at the club, so don't think there'll be too much weight put on this. But to be fair, there are a few players in there who we have just brought to the club, so I suppose that's quite interesting. Not too sure how MV is on the bench, because honestly, he's been a little bit disappointing, but he's on the bench. Also, Sané, Molina make their way into it, and also Wisden, Ami there at the back. So a few of our players sneak their way there into the overall New York Red Bulls best 11, but unfortunately, no MLS Cup. If we go over and check out what did happen in the remainder of the playoffs, we'll go over to here the schedule and start off, of course, with the semi-finals of the Eastern Conference. Also, actually, we better check out the West so we can move on quickly from that result. In today's episode, Austin got past Dallas 2-0, and Seattle did the same over Minnesota. So that set up the Western Conference final, which was won by Austin in extra time away from home. And the Eastern Conference final, you would imagine that Orlando should have won this one as the higher seed, but no, blooming Columbus, with that 5 at the back, picked up a 3-1 win. So it did mean that it was Austin versus Columbus in the final, and you can already see it there under the actual title up top. Who did pick it up? A team from the Western Conference in Austin FC, which is quite surprising considering how poor Western Conference teams have been so far in the save. I still don't think we've actually lost to a Western Conference team. Columbus decided they'd do that in the final, so the absolute bottle jobs there from Columbus. They knock us out and don't go on and pick up the trophy. You absolute pests. What was the point in FMing us if you're not going to go on and do the full jobs? Austin are the MLS Cup champions here for this season. Fingers crossed next year we can pick that up and also hopefully have a good run in the CONCACAF Champions League, albeit we were expecting a transfer budget of around £17 million. They did us dirty. It's only 5.5 million. So honestly, don't expect too much change to our squad unless we sell some players. And to be fair, that might not be the worst thing considering how rusty we did look in the CONCACAF Champions League at the start of this season. A nice settled squad might be quite good going into that competition in 2030. But that will do it for today's episode. Disappointing there to our season at the New York Red Bulls, but one more year of the save. Fingers crossed we can make amends in 2030. But if you enjoyed this one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Until next week, we will start off with the Champions League and maybe some moves in the transfer market getting in to 2030. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.